the third time's a charm for the March HR Business Services Committee. Today is Monday, March 20th, and we're getting started at 4:33 p.m. We have no guest presentation for this meeting, so we're going to start out with department reports, and we'll start out with Director Severance for HR.
Yeah, thank you. So you'll see the HR report summary. Mostly a lot of activity in our non-certified, which we're almost keeping up with retirements and resignations with new hires. Happy to say that we are doing swimmingly on our budget meetings with principals, and so our staffing and displacements are all going to happen this week, and our first round of postings will go out next Monday. So
which is months ahead of where we've done that previously, correct?
Yeah. So no retirements, displacements, and any other staffing adjustments. We've had a chance to meet with about 70% of our principals now, so they have a good idea of what their needs are. So we're gonna get started.
Great, and this is all due to your hard work in HR and streamlining our processes. So I appreciate it.
Lots of staff involvement and just coming together. So
is there a way that we'll be able to compare the number of candidates we get to last year to make sure that this is as excellent as we think it's going to be?
We certainly can. I mean, they're hard. We can look at numbers, just sheer numbers, depending on what the openings are. But I would expect that most of the schools are hiring about this time, so I would expect that we're going to see more applicants because we're within the realm of the other school systems. Yeah.
Sorry, member.
And I just want to say thanks to all the hard work of Director Severance and the Human Resources team, as well as principals and other leaders who worked to put together an advanced hiring timeline that will get us the best of the best, and we'll be ahead of schedule. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions? Any other?
So I was just gonna say the other good news is that we did find an HR manager replacement.
We did.
It happens to be a CTE teacher in another district that also has an HR background and HR experience, and so because we know how hard it is to find CTE teachers, especially this time of year, we're not going to start him until after their school season is over. So he'll come in June. So
that's awesome.
Looking forward to having full staff and getting him up and acclimated. And he is really appreciates recruitment and the retention portions and onboarding, and so it's a really great piece that we haven't really had a chance to dive deep into just due to level of staff. So enjoying that he likes those things and wants to move forward with them. So I think it'll be a great fit.
And I appreciate giving consideration to the other district and not putting them in a tough position. So I appreciate that. That's great work.
You might have saw that we rolled out an employee referral stipend in the last week or two. We've had a few people submit that. We haven't really connected it with people that we've actually hired yet, but we're hoping that will be some incentive to help us get our staff, to help us find more staff to work here. Hoping that will bring us at least custodial, bus driver, and some of those food service positions that are hard to find, but of course it is for any position that we get within the district. So. Doing some retirement sessions through our benefits team. We also switched over to an online portal to put in workers' compensation claims. We did have one glitch last week with a non-English as first language teacher, but we've worked with the company and tried to find out what we can do to streamline that so that isn't an issue anymore. So otherwise it seems to be working well. We've only had one request to negotiate, and we have not set any dates or anything for that, and that was with our principals unit.
Okay.
And then just the hiring updates. We have a handful of teachers out there, part-time a year, just because we are temporary posting at this point, and then of course our summer school, and we're doing a good job getting those out of there. And then you can see that we still have those gaps in child nutrition, transportation, and maintenance, as well as the paraprofessionals, still looking to fill those positions.
The summer school, have those listings gone out?
They did.
They did?
Yeah.
Great. And
a couple weeks ago.
you're seeing some good good, because I know was it last year we had some difficulty? I know there was a lot of tired teachers, so.
Yeah, I think we're having better luck, this year. Hopefully we'll have a full staff.
Are there any other questions on the HR monthly departmental summary report, or any other questions on HR? Great, let's move on to business services and talk about the enrollment report.
Yes, it's looking better than last month. It went up to 91.49 over budget. We're using these numbers to help do our projections as well. I did a little revision. I'll be bringing that to the board next month.
A budget revision?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And then using 3 to 5 year projections as well to do, analyzing our budget going forward.
And is this the first time we've had the software and availability to
Correct.
to do those
Yes.
budgets for 3 to 5?
Yes.
Right.
Very excited about it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Are there any questions on the enrollment report? Pre-pandemic.
I would just like to, just a quick comment. I'd like to, as I was thanking Human Resources for their hard work, I'd like to thank Simone, Executive Director Zunich, and her team for the work that they've done in the budget forecasting, as well as Katerine Little and Kayla Carroll with the transition. The transition went very smoothly and very supportive of the department and the people within them.
Great, thank you. Pre-pandemic, I don't remember, were we around 80? Were we close to 9,000? Anybody remember?
We were.
Okay, so
87.
87, so we're climbing our way back. And I think we're recovering better than some other districts, probably.
I think so. You'll see we have a nice jump in like early childhood. Our numbers for the youngsters are really coming in high. Of course, the ADM, the adjusted pupil unit, isn't the same.
Yeah, because they're only in
Yes,
so much time a day.
that's correct.
Okay. All right, that looks great.
And I do want to say that Kayla Carroll is doing a great job, and Katerine's doing a great job. They spend time together
Good.
several days a week, and Katerine's very free and open to, her knowledge. She's passing her knowledge on to Kayla,
Great.
so that's been really nice too.
Does kindergarten roundup go through the end of the month? Or
I
because,
I don't know about the dates. I was just asked about a budget code for that, so I think it does go through the end of the month, yes.
can we get the ballpark figures whenever that's
We should,
completed, so
yes, we can. Brett will write that down.
Piedmont is having theirs on the 30th, so they're still running. Any other questions? Great, let's move on to the child nutrition report. I think what I see in here is we're looking forward to our summer meals program, so we're beginning those plans for summer meals, preliminary plans. We're gonna have for breakfast and lunch at Denfeld, Lowell, Loramac, Myers Wilkins, Piedmont, and Stowe. And of course, that is all dependent on what our staffing levels look like to be able to staff those schools.
Yes.
And then we are in the process right now of looking for our bids next year for food. I'm assuming we'll see our dairy bid or our milk bid come in, which is one of my favorites. And then I'm assuming that the district is getting planning, very excited for the law that was just signed by Governor Walz for
Universal lunch.
universal breakfast and lunch.
Sheila and I've had some preliminary conversations, but we are going to meet on it, because it's going to take some planning on our part too.
Yeah.
Because it will be increased meals.
Yep.
And, not to be, I just have to say though, we have to be looking at our financial side of it too. Not next year, because we're still going to get our compensatory money,
Yeah.
but it's the year after that is in question. So, but yes, we are going to start working on planning that, and providing all those meals, and I don't even know yet how will compensate us, so there's a
Yeah,
lot
they're
of information, they're working on it.
And have they come up with a plan yet for the compensatory? Are they
have
still
not.
working? Okay,
Yes.
that's okay. That's good.
Yes.
It's not bad.
And is it gonna be complicated with the free meals, like at the high school and middle school level? I mean, it's just gonna be for the
It's all
the
children.
hot line, the hot lunch line and not the extras? And are we gonna be able to offer the extras?
This is what I need to work out with
Oh,
Sheila.
okay.
We just, like, they just signed it last week, so we both have to dig into the language and see what is required of us.
And I'm assuming MT is gonna put guidance out for us as to.
Yes, I'm waiting for that document. They're good about that.
Would you mind when that document comes out, would you mind sending it my way so I can
course.
read it? Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to facilities, take a minute here and just our first meeting, Mr. Spooner.
And I'll be honest and tell you that Dave did put this together before he left.
I was
So,
wondering, 'cause it sounds like his language.
it is his language, so I'm gonna do my best, and I'm just gonna make, cover a few highlights here. And hopefully next month I will be able to bring it into my own, but, so work orders, the facilities crew has completed 312, and there are currently another 343 open work orders. You had pictures of the Denfeld Towers, spire and finial being put into place. That is still waiting on inspection, and I'm not sure what the date is of that. I think we've already had spoken about the construction on the Congdon Field, and that the bid going out early in 2023, and then the boiler at Stowe.
That's the playground, correct?
Yes. We're still working on that darn track lane.
Never gonna happen.
I don't know that we're gonna have an update on that to be any change, because that's
Okay.
been sitting out there for quite a while. Construction on the hill tasks, they're coming along with stuff. We had an opportunity to go in there 3 weeks ago or so, on Dave's last day, actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that he could kind of show us, and we wanted to give him credit for all the work that he's done up there, of course. So they are getting closer. The upstairs, they had some carpeting going in, and we do have a target date for April for furniture installation.
That's
We
great.
had a meeting this morning this afternoon with the movers who will move us in. So we're still looking at a coordination of that, but we'll start with IT, of course, and we're hoping maybe mid-May. One of the holdbacks of actually getting our staff to move up there is the finishing of the pavement,
Mhm.
because there isn't a lot of parking spots, and they can't finish it if we have a lot of extra cars in there.
Yeah.
So trying to work with the contractor to get us in there as soon as we can, but also don't want to be in their way. So we'll have a schedule of how everybody gets moved in there. We do have to be out of the UHC site by the end of August, but I would anticipate that we should be all moved out in July. And then the last piece, just to kind of point out the vacancies, of course, at the custodial, we are still working to fill those. We are working on a postcard mailer, so we're that much closer, I would say, within the next couple weeks to having that sent out. We're really focusing on those positions that we can have over the summer, because we want to make sure that we're getting those custodials in. And then we're going through the process of some other internal fills in that area. Health and safety, OSHA logs and surveys of the occupational injuries and illness were submitted. If you're not aware, those are reports that need to be submitted end of February, early March for all of our buildings, and Matt Johnson, our safety officer, takes care of that. So those have been all done and posted in the locations they need to. And then just some other things happening there with fire marshal inspections that are underway. We did have an OSHA report come in for one of our buildings that over the last couple of weeks that Matt took care of. We'll report on that more in March, but there's no further action. We took care of everything.
Is that the tier 2 submission? No, what is tier 2 submission? It doesn't matter.
I'm not quite sure. Look into that.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Isn't there a plan to have a grand opening of the new building?
Yes. We're not sure what that'll look like, but because we didn't do a take the first shovel out type of event, we'll do a ribbon cutting when we're actually opening the facility or shortly before it's open to the public. Yep. And then you can see the workers' comp activities, which I want to a little clarification, so this is the stuff that's reportable to OSHA. We do have plenty of workers' comp incidents that go in every day that aren't accounted on here, so, you know, if we ever wanna get into the nitty-gritty of that, sometimes it's just an incident, sometimes it could be, where other first aid was given, but it's not reportable, on OSHA, so just at some point we can maybe talk about the difference, but this is specific to the OSHA.
Questions? Great, moving on to technology.
So yeah, this is for February's report. So I started off with the cybersecurity InfoSec training, and our fish rate for the last campaign is actually 20.8. It's climbing still a little bit, very slowly. Hoping our next campaign will be in that 10% range, hopefully. But it's getting better, and the people that have failed 3 or more have been sent specific training for fishing, and 50% of those people have completed it. I'm working with the remaining 50%, which is only 16 people.
Okay.
16 people have failed all the fishing campaign or all the fishing emails and haven't taken any training. So I'm working with those individuals.
Do you have a time frame for them to get that done?
Within the next 2 weeks, 14.
Okay.
So we just finished up the last training for,
Got it.
there was 32 people, and like I said, 50% of those people completed in that last 2 weeks, so I'm gonna work with them and their supervisors to get this last 16 taken care of. Next one is just the Gmail, just the messages we've received, the ones we've rejected, ones that have been phishing. We didn't have any malware identified. The count activity for up counts, storage is a little lower, file shares is up, suspicious attachments is down, suspicious logins down, failed login attempts is down, data loss prevention is down as well. For E-rate bids, we don't have any. Just going over the technology help desk tickets, we had 342 new ones, 341 were closed, 211 remain unresolved. And then I just listed the projects that we have going on for the next 6 months, and part of those are the moves. That takes a lot of our time. That's why we're moving in early, so we can actually be on site when people move over. So we'll probably have a person here and probably 2 people at DSC, a person potentially at transportation, helping them get everything set up.
Is technology, are you in, you're not in the bus barn part?
We're in the facilities. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Our facilities is going to be in the storeroom.
got it.
Okay. Print shop is in there now. So.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my report.
Looks good. Are there any questions? I know the superintendent and I have talked about this, is that thinking about looking forward about how we responsibly go through our replacement cycles for our devices and what we think about long-term planning for technology needs. And that's something that Superintendent Magus and I have talked about, is what that plan looks like. I'm not forming the plan, but just would like to know, and I think the other school board members would too, is how are we thinking about replacement cycles? How are we thinking about funding them? Are we getting ahead of some of the stuff and thinking about all that?
Good.
Thank you, Bart. I especially appreciate you, like I said, after reading about what's going on with Minneapolis Public Schools. So you'll never hear me be snotty about not finding email addresses anymore.
So, well, I mean, you have to think of that for ransomware and that. It's just a matter of time. It's not if, it's a matter of time when it's going to happen.
I need you to be a little bit more optimistic, Bart.
It is, I am. Because I mean, we've already experienced it.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of time and then how big it.
And how much data they can get from us.
You know, how much they do. So yeah, now learning about the ransomware, it's like they encrypted it so you can't get it, but now they also took it. So even paying them, they're saying, I'm still going to release all your data. That's what they're doing in Minneapolis. So it's like, so getting your data recovered or backed up, that was the big thing 5 years ago. But now it's not even that. It's like, oh, if you have confidential stuff, we're going to release it.
Yeah. Great, thank you. Are there any questions? Awesome, moving on next to transportation.
Well, we've
Jeremy Casapitas has a lot on his plate right now. The latest update on the new buses, we're still waiting for them. We thought we'd get them on the 15th. They're not here yet, but they're on their way. The transition to the student transportation software, formerly known as Versa, but it's now Versa Trans. Yeah. And there are daily changes on the total of 434 individual routes. It's a lot. Staffing continues to be a challenge. For instance, today he had someone out on vacation and 2 drivers out sick. So, you know, he's already short 6 drivers. So this is, you know, they're all hands on deck. If I had a license, he'd probably ask me to drive too. I have one driver trainee that's been moving through the training rapidly. She's doing a great job. And we did hire an assistant, but unfortunately, it did not work out for them. So resigned after 3 days, but the new posting closed today, and we have some applicants that will be doing hopefully interviews this week.
Great.
Okay. Bus maintenance. He's doing, it's been progressing but slow, as the new mechanic is also covering a van route. So, in a helper position for a sped bus. So we continue to deal with an aging fleet, and the rest of the information has been on there before. We're doing everything we can to keep up with the demands of routing and busing students, and we are just managing with the current staff. But everyone is getting tired due to the long hours every day. I continue to assure them that we will get through this together as a team. So he's very optimistic, and I appreciate his attitude.
Great, that's a huge help.
It is, yes.
Are there any questions on transportation?
Just a quick comment, and I want to, of course, I would say thanks to Bart for all the work he's doing for cybersecurity as well. But with transportation, past few weeks with all the very, very challenging winter weather that we've had, Jeremy has gone above and beyond with spending many hours in contact with the city and also driving the roads to see what's safe, and just really appreciate the extra mile that they've gone figuratively and literally.
Thank you. All right, now we're going to move on to our recommended resolutions. We have B-3-23-3951, which is acceptance of donations to the Duluth Public Schools. This is available on Board Book. We have donations coming into East, Holmcroft, Lester Park, Lincoln, Ordine, Stowe, and Washington ECFE. I think this is a great one. This is for the playground. This is really wonderful to make sure that our kids, our littlest scholars, have access to great, safe playground equipment, and that in addition to benefiting our littlest scholars in ECFE, we're also going to do something great for that neighborhood so kids have a safe place to play. So I'm really appreciative.
And on that note, we had just a brief update today that there's been just a slight delay with some city getting the documents in line, so there's still a bit of wait there, but there is a good schedule, and it's just probably a week or two off schedule.
Well, and the weather's probably very helpful. So that's great to see. All right, and the next we have acceptance of grant awards to the Duluth Public School, and we have a grant from the Northland Foundation for LoreMap for $835 for a kindness campaign throughout the school and shirts for the student council. I love that. Moving on to items that will be found on the consent agenda, we have our HR staffing report, which is shorter than it normally is, huh? That's because of that new process, right? Getting those retirements in early.
Yeah. I did want to make just note of one addition from what was initially sent in your packet, so it has been changed. We did offer and had an accepted for a facilities manager replacement. He did need to give 30 days notice to his current school, but we wanted to make sure he got on for approval at the board in case there was any concerns or issues that we would need to address prior to that 30 days.
Is he on this one?
Should be.
He should be.
It's under non-cert appointment,
non-cert,
Brian
okay.
Brown.
There it is. Okay, awesome. Okay. And he's supposed to start the 17th grade.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll approve that at the next school board meeting.
So that was the only change from the one that
Okay.
was originally sent, just to make you
That's a
aware.
good change. All right, so we have our HR staffing report. Next, we have finances. We have our financial report. Anything to point out here, Simone?
Not really, this is a mid-year trend, and in the bottom left-hand corner, for Fin 160, which is one of our ESSER 3 funds, we've spent a little over 4 million. Our Fund 6 building construction, we have to date spent 14,103,000. And otherwise, we are trending halfway through the year.
Is the money from the sale of Central in the next month's report, or is it reflected in this budget?
It will be in next month's report. Good question. We're just putting together that code and how we assign budget codes and everything to it. Yep.
Great. Are there any questions on the financial report? Next, we have
Just a quick comment related to the sale and the money for the transaction there. After the closing costs and commission and everything, it was about $7.6 million, and there were some questions related to how can that money be spent. And in general, that money, because it's there are certain restrictions to it, it can be spent on things rather than people, and you wouldn't want to spend temporary money on people anyway in general. But when you asked the question earlier about technology replacement and things and curriculum and things like that, that's something that this can be partially utilized for. So it is a very, very good benefit to the district and also to the community because of the increase in tax base and availability of additional housing. So we're excited about the sale.
Great, thank you, Superintendent Magus. As we move on to updated hourly substitute pay rates, we have increased substitute in building operation. Hourly regular substitute, we're at 15, and substitute for licensed people, we're at 13.
And that, I'm sorry, that's a typo, that should be also 15.
15, okay.
Yeah. And they were prior 13.
13,
Yes.
okay. No problem.
I'll get it updated for the board.
Are there any questions? Great. Next we have, so we have nothing for fundraisers on the consent agenda this month, nothing for bids, RFP, and quotes, and then we have no contracts, change orders, or leases this month. Correct. Moving on to miscellaneous informational items, so we don't take any action on this. We have our district property updates. That talks about DSC, transportation and roadways, and then also projects and activities. So that is for perusal starting on page 18, and some great pictures that look amazing. Moving on to more district property updates, here we have something marked from Fulmer, and we can officially move Central Entrance High School property from pending to sold. So this is the last one. We'll have this information in our school board. All right, next, moving on to expenditure contracts. We have our WIPLE in there, which is about 90,000. That's for our yearly audit. So we talked about that last month.
Yes.
Some information, let's see, CDW, government for internet security, which is important. And then we have some information for American Indian education for some contracts. Creation Station, Rooted Spirit Play School. Oh, that one sounds fun. Residential services, the Lyric Opera of the North, and Collins Derek Brandy at Denfeld for some percussion assistance. Exciting. Do we have no, we do. Do we have? Sorry. Getting there. on to our no-cost contracts. We have a University of Minnesota that comes from the Office of the Superintendent, UMD Student Teaching Agreement with Piedmont Elementary, Western Governors University for Student Teaching Agreements with Western Governors, and then CDW Technology for some redesigned work on the boardroom AV install project. We have no revenue contracts this month, and then we have grant applications. And for grant applications, we have a grant application for some PBIS coordinator, Northland grant for a kindness campaign, Duluth endowment fund, this fund will be used for training wheels for our new adapted bikes and wiggle scooters for the DAPE student use. That's great. Another one for the Duluth endowment fund for adapted scooters called Easy Riders, and then Northland Foundation and Lester Park Foundation. So those are the grant applications. Does anybody have any questions? Excellent. Any questions about anything? Alrighty, we had a pretty light schedule this month, so that concludes our business here for the HR Business Services. Thank you very much.
Thank you.